What would you like the power to do? Bank of America.
Good to have you with us here as we sit with CEO of DTE, Joy Harris, and just have a little discussion about how's it been so far, by the way? How do you like the job?
It's been great. It's been great. Busy, but really exciting times to be in the energy industry. And I've got a fabulous team. A little cold outside, but we're managing well. Yeah.
You haven't had any headlines this week, which is probably...
We don't plan to have any.
Yeah.
There you go.
What's your kind of vision over the next 2 to 3 years to keep not just Michigan businesses competitive with what you guys do? How do you kind of integrate that?
Yeah. I mean, here's the deal. Economic development is a priority for DTE. And we're working hard to ensure that our infrastructure can not only address the needs of the near term, the next couple of years, but we need to address the needs of the next decade and beyond. And so we're ensuring that our infrastructure is in good shape. We're making huge investments, but we're actually using Michigan companies to help us. We're investing in Michigan companies to really help us build the grid of the future, transition to cleaner generation, and also just ensure that our grid and our gas grid continues to operate safely. So we're using companies right here in Michigan to help us make that all happen for our customers. $3.3 billion invested with Michigan companies. Of that $3.3 billion, $1 billion was spent with companies right here in Detroit. And this is one of a decade of progress that we've made in that regard. We started in 2010 making a commitment that, we're going to use our local talent to help us support communities and ensure that we can deliver on our promise to our customers. And we've done just that. I think in total, it's roughly $24 to $25 billion that we've invested. That's jobs, roughly 92,000 jobs that we've created by way of those investments.
And when I toured DTE for an interview, I think about a year ago this time, it was amazing to see what inside kind of the war room is when you look at the grid and how the upgrades have been there, going almost from an analog system to a totally digital system. How has that paid off since you put that in place?
Oh, it's paid off tremendously. If you look at the reliability performance over the last couple of years, from 23 to 24, reliability has improved by 70%. So the time spent without power improved by 70%. From 24 to 25, we saw a huge improvement, another 60%. In fact, for 2025, this has been the best reliability performance we've had in over 20 years. We had some help from weather, so we saw fewer catastrophic.
Rarely happens.
Yeah, fewer catastrophic storms, but we still had quite a few high wind events where the winds were over 50 miles per hour, and the grid performed exceptionally well. We're now using the smart technology that we installed over the last, call it 5 years, and we've got more to do, but certainly where you visited, the SOC, the System Operations Center, is the nerve center for the grid, and that technology is helping us better detect outages, better prevent outages, better reroute power when outages occur. And we're marrying up that technology inside our four walls with smart devices that we're putting out on the grid that can isolate and allow us to restore power to the vast majority of the customers and isolate the trouble to maybe only a few.
Yeah, it was impressive to see how you even have your own meteorologists pinpointing your crews to get to where you're predicting the future there. When you were just talking a minute ago, you said over the next 10 years, I'm sure a lot of minds immediately went to, yes, things like data centers and being able to be able to handle those places, because it's not just, we have, I think, almost 60 already in the state, but now it's these larger ones. When you see these coming in, how do you work with these companies when people worry about their rates going up because of it?
Yeah, listen, here's how this works. One, DTE has an obligation to serve any customer, whether it's a data center, a residential customer, anyone who wants to attach to the grid. We have an obligation to serve them. And so when those customers show up at our doorstep, we understand their needs, we understand their demand, and we make sure we have infrastructure in place that can support them. And they have to cover the cost of that infrastructure if it's incremental to what we already have. And so the law requires those customers to take on those costs. And what we've done with the data center, Oracle in particular, and the related companies that are building out this data center is ensure that we understand their load demand, and we're going to build battery storage to support them, but they're going to cover the full cost of that battery storage. And that ensures that in those peaking events, we've got enough generation and also enough capacity to manage their load and also keep the rest of the grid reliable and ready to serve the balance of our customers.
Do you envision more AI businesses kind of not just outside of data centers? Obviously, I know EVs are kind of on the back burner nationally, but we always talk about that infrastructure. Talk about being able to handle all of that when that all keeps coming down the line, because it feels like you're going to need to keep supplying more and more.
Yeah, that's why we do long-range planning and scenario planning and using our own data analytics, right, machine learning, to understand how the grid needs to transform to support industries like, you know, tech companies, advanced manufacturing, other companies that want to continue to come to Michigan, which is a good thing, by the way, and land here and grow. Also, customer needs are changing. The grid is becoming more distributed. We have more renewables, more battery storage, more rooftop solar. So all of this is leading us down a path where we have to innovate. And we have to use technology ourselves to be able to meet those demands going forward. So I talked about smart devices to prevent outages, but we're also onboarding really smart databases that can analyze this demand and showcase how we need to configure the grid and how we need to make it more flexible to be able to manage the demand as it shifts. So we're launching into pilots to create virtual power plants, for instance. And think of it as a central hub that will, in essence, monitor the demand as it shifts and use distributed energy sources and shift them up and down, flex them up and down based on that demand. And it mimics a large power plant. So that's just an example of how we're innovating to meet the future needs of the grid.
Tell me a little bit, let's talk about you for a little bit and your leadership style, your skills. How do you envision your leadership taking DTE into the future, both with the community, the customers you serve, as well as the business community?
Yeah, so I often say we inherit, as leaders, we inherit institutions that were shaped by others. And as a leader, it's my responsibility to strengthen that institution and advance it for those that will follow me. And so as I've, examined the needs of not only our customers, but also the broader community, it really is important for us to listen and interpret the needs of not only today, but the future, take those into account, but also ensure that we're meeting our customers where they are and we're fulfilling our promise to improve their lives, understanding that our decisions impact every part of their lived experience, their economic, really vitality, the public safety, and also just life as we know it could not exist without the products and services we provide. So I take that very seriously. And I'm a Detroit girl. I was born and raised here in the city. I love Michigan. I couldn't imagine living anywhere else. And so our promise has special meaning for me. Because I don't serve nameless, faceless people. I'm serving my family, my friends, my neighbors, and a community that helps shape me. And so that makes my job even more important. It really is more than just a job for me. It matters greatly, and I'm committed to ensuring that I align our team members around our purpose, our mission, and then bring out the greatness in them so that we fulfill that mission. I had an opportunity to spend some time with the captain of the USS Kitty Hawk. And I don't know if you all know about the Kitty Hawk. This was one of the largest aircraft carriers in the fleet. And Captain McNamee shared with me some insights that he learned through his commission, and he sent me a letter and with a picture of the Kitty Hawk, and he said, you know, the one leadership principle that has stuck with me and served me most in my command is finding the greatness in each and every one of our sailors, because our sailors believe there is greatness in them and greatness in what they're doing. And I believe the same applies for our team members at DTE. Our work is vitally important, and my job is to harness their greatness to make sure that we fulfill our promise.
Well, I love the fact that when the power goes out, she'll be getting texts from friends and family. Hey, what's going on?
And my mother.
I mean, that's got to be motivation, if anything else. That really, because when you think about other companies, you probably don't envision them going, hey, the whole family is upset. We got to get this back on immediately.
Yeah.
Do you envision maybe in 5 years, where do you hope DTE has gone maybe or done some things differently than it's done in the past that you'd like to steer?
Yeah, we've made the commitment to reduce the frequency of outages by 30% and cut outage times in half by 50% by 2029. And we are well on our way. Our results in 2025 tell us that these investments are working, but we're not only relying on the investments, we're improving how we work. So we have a saying, right crew, right job, right time. And we're altering our processes and using technology to ensure that we can quickly detect when there's a defect on the grid. We can get our folks out to make the repairs necessary and isolate those outages to maybe a smaller segment of the grid as much as possible. So DTE is growing. We're growing in meaningful ways, but we're also ensuring that we're really building up the community and making sure that we're focused on improving neighborhoods. And our folks are willing to give their discretionary energy to do that. And I'm so proud of it. I mean, anytime we issue the call, whether it is to support food pantries or volunteer at a local nonprofit, our folks just raise their hand. So we're going to keep doing that in spades. And I'm happy to say that I have the right team, the right mindset, and also just the wherewithal to keep us advancing.
I think a lot of people, that gets lost in talk of rate hikes or battles with the Attorney General, that DTE partners with a lot of organizations or nonprofits, like you just said. And being a hometown gal, is that something you want to do more of or the same?
Yeah,
or?
Absolutely. So just recently, we donated $15 million to the United Way, Thaw, and the Salvation Armies to help families in need. And and as you can imagine, these are extreme conditions that we're experiencing right now. And so a lot of families will struggle. They'll struggle, you know, making ends meet, also addressing their energy needs. And so we were happy to make that commitment and that kind of contribution to those three agencies. And we do this often. When we have the means, we will contribute meaningfully to nonprofits. We have a foundation that contributes significantly in three pillars: workforce development, basic needs, and also protecting the environment. And that's something that we're committed to. So we have been for generations, over 175 years, a part of the fabric of this city and also this state. And we have a vested interest in making sure that families, neighborhoods thrive and continue to progress, and that progress needs to be shared across the board. So we're happy to do it.
Yeah, and going back to rate hikes, when you do cross that bridge and I mean, obviously you have to invest in the grid, invest in what makes DTE go, but when people think, well, you should foot that cost, that shouldn't be a rate hike for me, what is the answer to customers? And oftentimes it's an answer to what the Attorney General says as well.
Listen, the investments that we're making in the grid keep us from having rolling outages. We have to continue to invest and get ahead of the deterioration over time. The grid has served us well for generations. It's time to renew it. But we can do that in a way with affordability in mind. And I think we've done a really great job of that. If you look at absolute bill growth over the last 5 years for DTE customers, it's been at 3%. 3% on an absolute basis. I mean, that's top decile when you measure that across other states, across the country. All that said, we still know that any rate increase is difficult for the most vulnerable among us. And so that's why we advocate heavily to ensure that energy assistance is readily available, and we want to expand the pie to those that are really just struggling. They're working, but they're still struggling. And we've been successful in doing that. We've got $50 million that will now flow through over the next several years for energy assistance. When we talk about rate increases going forward, we balance the needs of the grid with what our customers can afford. And that's something that is a governor for us. We try to keep those increases between 3% and 4% over time. And we look to expand economic development because that puts downward pressure on rates. Data centers, they will take a large share of that fixed cost. So it's simple math, and I've been sharing this with many people. If you look at a data center or any other large load customer, and let's just say you and I, Jason, we, along with maybe 3 other friends, we decide we want to rent a van. It costs $100.
Okay.
We pay $20 each, right? 5 of us, $20 each.
I was
each
told there'd
month.
be no math, but
Yes.
go ahead.
Yes. But let's just say along the way, we recruit 5 more people to ride in this van, and there's capacity for it. So no longer are we paying $20 each anymore. We're paying 10 each. That's how this works. The more load that we bring onto the system, and that fixed cost then gets shared across larger customer base. That's how it works, and that's how data centers and other large load customers, economic development drives down rate hikes over time. It spreads out that fixed cost and allows us to make the necessary investments that will carry us into the future.
And we're still confident the grid can handle all those extra customers?
We are confident, very confident. We study the grid routinely. We're bringing on new renewables every day, in fact. And we're also continuing to modernize the rest of our gas fleet and also, bring on battery storage. We've got our first utility scale battery storage plant in production, and we're looking to expand it. It's 15 megawatts right now, and we're going to grow that. We're going to grow to 220 megawatts of battery storage. This is going to be new, innovative technology that's going to serve us well. So I'm excited about what the future holds, and energy is at the tip of the spear. We are powering progress. And we've got to make sure that we're doing it in the right way, and I've got the right tools and team to make that happen.
And we know energy is not the only thing that costs more these days. The list goes on. Do you see energy prices coming down in the near future? And I guess what's the climate that has to happen for that?
I think what will happen is, like I said before, as the economy grows, right? As the economy grows, those fixed costs will get spread across more customers. And I also believe there will be a point where you're leveling off, right? So we're using technology to drive efficiencies, but as we make the investments in the grid, we'll see fewer and fewer emergent events. Emergent events are very expensive because we have to dispatch a lot of people out into the field to make the necessary repairs. If you need only look to the south right now, what's happening south of us, there was over 1 million customers that were out.
You sent some crews to help out,
We
didn't you?
did. We sent 60 of our own crews to support that effort, and they're still there.
Oh, really?
They're still there supporting customers in Louisiana, in fact. Those types of events are really, really expensive. And so as you harden the grid and better prepare it to manage these really catastrophic events, you have fewer and fewer outage, which drives down the expense over time.
From a leadership standpoint, how do you measure success when things like maybe public trust or regulatory scrutiny and maybe shareholder expectations don't always align?
We have to balance them, right? So we have a balanced approach. We have to take care of all of our stakeholders, our customers, our teams, our shareholders. And essentially, what we do is make sure that there isn't a disconnect between what our customers need, what our shareholders expect, and what our people need to make all of that happen. So our approach is to really showcase our continuous improvement muscle to drive down inefficiencies, drive down costs, make the necessary investments that are going to yield the results that our customers need and want. I don't think it's a sucker's choice between the three. I think we can do it, and we have shown that we can do it in a very balanced fashion.
A new company, Echelon, recently announced it's moving its headquarters to Detroit. What does this mean for the city and for its economic future?
Listen, this is a signpost that says Detroit is becoming a tech hub, which is really exciting for us. And we were happy to help fuel that progress. We know the buildings, we know the infrastructure. We have a bird's eye view of where companies like Echelon can plant themselves. And it was just really refreshing to see a repurposing of the Icon building and having Echelon really take their headquarters to that location. And they will then become a hub for new talent, innovation, right here in the city of Detroit. And they've got strong infrastructure to support them. The energy infrastructure in that area is in very great shape. And so this is a place where they can continue to grow. And that's the economic engine that DTE can play. That's the role that we can play going forward. I'm just happy that our team understood what was available here and could bring Echelon to Detroit and have them fall in love with Detroit and really make a commitment to build.
I think that's kind of some of those behind the scenes. As the utility, you don't always jump out and try and grab the headlines. No. Sometimes it's like
this is Detroit's moment.
Yeah.
It is Detroit's moment, and we're here for it. We're really proud to help move Detroit toward its aspiration to be the great city that it is and continue to grow and expand.
Are there any other things like that on the horizon that you can share that you know about?
Well, we are always on the ground looking for other opportunities, and this is the partnership that we have with local government, with state government, and really helping to share information around what we're doing, where we're making improvements to the grid, how we see things playing out. We are one of the largest renewable developers in the state. Renewable energy developers we span out across the state, so we know where the land is, we know the sentiment on the ground, we actually know the infrastructure, our infrastructure along with water infrastructure and other infrastructure through our partnerships. So through those partnerships, we can attract new businesses here and let them know this is the ideal location for you to, put your stake in the ground and continue to grow. And that's how these ecosystems begin. Starts with one company making a commitment, and then private investment happens all around it. And we're here to help fuel that progress.
Politically speaking, how concerning is it, or I guess, we have a new AG coming in next year, but this one you had to deal with from time to time whenever there's a rate hike and things like that. Politically, how do you approach it when you're sometimes having to do battle with Lansing legislators?
I think we actually present good facts. We rely on transparency. We articulate our vision, our mission, and our results very clearly. And we have the data to show that our investments are actually working. And I often say, I learned this from my predecessor, you have to have a pure heart and thick skin. A pure heart and thick skin. Our customers, the state, and in fact, the entire country relies very heavily on the energy industry. And we can't shudder. We should be challenged. We should be held accountable. We're not afraid of being held accountable. But progress needs to continue to happen, and it's incumbent upon us to showcase good facts, the data that supports our investment agenda, and then also the things that we're doing to take care of the most vulnerable among us, and likewise, what this will mean in terms of value for our customers.
Anything we didn't cover that you wanted to make sure everybody heard?
I think what you will hear very soon is that Michigan is a place where businesses want to land. They want to take up a space here and be a part of this renaissance that's happening in the state and also in the city of Detroit. And we're really excited to help fuel that progress. And we've got some very exciting news that we will be looking to share in the next several weeks along that line. So we'll see. We'll see if you're ready for it.
But I know somebody who's happy to break that news whenever you're ready.
Yes, it is really exciting news. But I also want people to know, particularly as it relates to hyperscalers, you know, many of these hyperscalers, these data center providers, they have very good intentions. They wanted to be a part of the fabric of the city, of the state, and they are happy to use their balance sheets to actually do more than just, you know, operate a data center. They also want to support the communities. And we're encouraging them to showcase that, showcase what they are willing to do to help support the progress that is already happening here. It really is an exciting time. I think, though, that we've got to go a long way in convincing people that this is a good thing and dispel some of the misinformation and the fear that's out there and make sure that, you know, they know fully. I'm happy that Microsoft came out very publicly and talked about what they're doing in the state and what they want to do, and other companies like Microsoft will be doing the same. The last thing I would say is, for this audience in particular, you know, my job does not stop where the wires end and the pipes end. I really am, this is my home, and I am so excited about what I can do in my current capacity and also in the capacity I serve in the community to really just drive Michigan forward, to drive the city forward. And you know, you heard Sandy talk about it. Education is the key. We've got to fix our education system. And a lot of us are using our discretionary energy to do that. So while I am not an educator, I can help convene. And I can also help support the efforts. So that's a really big passion of mine, is making sure that our kids are set up for this future. They actually reach their full potential. And if we all collectively don't do that, if we don't lean in, then we are mortgaging our future. So if I could implore all of us, it's really to take 2 steps closer to our education systems and be open to change and support that change, support our teachers, support our kids, so that this progress continues for generations.
A great message to end on. CEO of DTE Energy, Joy Harris, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.